Hey everyone, we're going to be getting started here in just about 7 minutes or so, but I just wanted to check in and say hello, welcome you to like and subscribe to our channel once you've joined into the chat, and also we're open to discussion, so if you have any comments about today's events or questions, please feel free to go ahead and type something into the comment section. And lastly, I wanted to let everyone know that we're holding a traders conference next week where we are going to have 38 different speakers. That's right, 38 speakers with over 40 hours of training and information going all week long next week. And in order to register that and sign up to win a bunch of really neat prizes and attend that event, you can just go over to metastock.com/events and you can jump in the conference right there. But yeah, we look forward to today's session with you all, and once again, we'll be getting started in just over about 6 minutes here. Thanks.
the go-ahead from the YouTube control room, so hang on with me just a second. All right, well, there is our good to go from the YouTube side. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kelly Clement. I am your host here today, but our presenter is going to be Kevin Nelson. We're excited to have Kevin with us. But before we bring Kevin into the room, I am going to just go ahead and take you through a quick disclaimer. So let's go ahead and read this. This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and accompanying software plugins, and is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of their software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So there's our disclaimer. We're done with that. So let's go ahead and talk about today's presentation. So today we have Kevin Nelson coming in today to talk to us about how to trade the Supertrend Indicator. So super excited for this, but let me introduce Kevin, who he is, kind of a little bit of his background and history. So Kevin actually used to work for MetaStock quite a few years ago. In fact, he was my boss when I first started here at MetaStock. A super awesome, amazing boss is what I'll call Kevin. He was awesome to work with, loved working for Kevin. And over the years, Kevin kind of studied and learned a lot about MetaStock, having been the sales manager here, he heard a lot of the questions. And a lot of people had a big desire for more training on MetaStock to really get the most out of it. So Kevin decided to go and start his own company called learnmetastock.com. And in that company, he actually sits and he teaches people how to trade using MetaStock, how to get the most out of its analysis and its powerful tools. So he teaches people on a consistent basis how to actually use MetaStock and its powerful tools. And it's a very highly rated service. If you haven't checked out MetaStock, learnmetastock.com, you're going to learn quite a bit about it today. And what is some of the things that Kevin shows and teaches, and we'll come back to that a little bit at the end. But let's go ahead and bring on Kevin so he can get us started here. Kevin, you there?
I am. Thanks, Kelly. That was a great introduction.
Well, for you, anything, Kevin. I mean, come on.
Perfect. Thanks again. So I'm going to go ahead. You want to go ahead and make me a presenter then?
Yes. Let's go ahead and pass the screen to you.
All right. There we go. Let's see if I can show my screen. Tell me when you can see my screen.
Yes, there it is.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get out of the way. It's all you, Kev.
Yeah, as Kelly said, basically what I do at Learn MetaStock is I basically just help people with the MetaStock program. Whatever it is that you want to get out of it, that's what we're all about. And we can help you in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that we do at Learn MetaStock is we'll take trading strategies, trading ideas, either out of books, videos, webinars, whatever the case may be, and we'll show you how to duplicate it inside of MetaStock. And this is actually a really, it's a very popular feature inside of our training aspect. A lot of our articles come from Stocks and Commodities Magazine, for example, and again, like I say, books and so forth. But this particular one, what we're going to be doing here today is we're going to be doing an actual webinar here on an indicator called the Supertrend Indicator. Now, this particular one was brought to my attention by a customer that when he asked me about it, he just asked if I could look into it and possibly create something for him. And quite honestly, I had never heard of it before. So after doing some research, I found that there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of written information about this particular indicator / system. But what I did find is I did find a lot of videos, for example, up on YouTube. And of course, YouTube's a great resource, for getting information on just about any type of subject that you can pretty much imagine. And as you also know, you also have to sometimes do quite a bit of searching to get through the bad ones to find the good ones. But if you go up there and take a look for this particular one, I think you'll find some pretty good information. Now, the Supertrend Indicator itself is a trend following indicator. And if you're familiar with technical analysis and trading and so forth, you're probably well aware that with a trend following indicator, when a security or market tends to trend following indicators do really well. On the other side of the coin, when the markets are choppy, volatile, sideways, get caught in, trading channels and so forth, trend following indicators don't do so well. So you know, that's always kind of the downfall. Every type of indicator that you find is always going to have a positive, you know, pro and a con. And this one is actually no different. But what I did find a number of different things that I really liked about this particular indicator and system. Number one, it's super easy to interpret. I mean, I can show you a chart, and just by quickly looking at it, you'll probably be able to figure out pretty quickly on your, you know, on your own, to say the least. Another nice thing about it as well is that it uses what's called an ATR indicator inside it for the calculations. And for those of you familiar with that, ATR stands for average true range. And the average true range actually will adjust based on volatility. So when things are moving around, again, it'll adjust both up and down and so forth to account for that. It also is super customizable. You can change the periods, you can change what we call the multiplier and so forth. And again, you can combine it with different types of indicators, a lot of different things that you can do to customize this to make it work for you. And as I was stating before, there's actually quite a bit of training available here for you. So, you know, as always though, I'm going to concentrate on what we can provide for you here in MetaStock. So what I do at Learn MetaStock is that whenever I create something or a trading strategy, a lot of times I'll create different types of indicators and so forth to go along with whatever video or training that I'm doing. In this particular situation, I created one indicator, an expert advisor, 2 different system tests, and 1 exploration to help you as well. And we're going to go through all of these here in just a minute. All right, so to get started, let's go ahead and open up a chart here, and we'll just open up a chart, for example, like the SPY, and take a look at this. And once you actually install the formulas directly from the Learn MetaStock website, what you'll do is you'll find all of our formulas begin with LMS, which represents Learn MetaStock. So scroll down your list of custom indicators and look for the group of indicators called LMS and then the one that you're looking for. So for this particular one, we're going to look for this one, which is called the Supertrend Indicator. And what you want to do is you just want to drag it directly on top of your price chart. And the way that this is set up is that it's first going to ask you for the number of periods that you want to use for the average true range, and then it's going to ask you for a multiplier. And as you can see, I just set the default to 7 and 3. And so we'll go ahead and get started with that. And then I'm going to go to the color style tab here, and I'm going to change the color here to maybe like a light, let's do like a light blue, and I'll make the weight a little bit heavier just so we can see it. And then what's important is that whenever you plot this indicator, you definitely want to merge it with a scale. Whether your scale is on the right or the left, just make your pick and then make sure and merge it so it plots correctly. Now, the way that you actually interpret this indicator, and I know this is tough, but if the prices are below the indicator, you're bearish. If the prices are above the indicator, you're bullish. That's it. As I was saying, it's a super simple indicator to actually interpret. Now, that's the simple part of it. The thing where it starts to get more complicated, of course, is that if you want to combine it with different indicators, if you want to change the length of the indicator and so forth. But how this actually plots, for example, is let's say, for example, like in this downward move right here, and again, we're looking at the SPY. If the prices close above this upper line, what will happen is this line will flip to the bottom of the prices and then act as a trailing stop. Then what happens if the prices close below the lower line, then the indicator is going to flip to the upper side, and then this indicator is now going to operate as a trailing stop for your short positions. So again, very, very simple here. And let's kind of zoom out here for just a little bit. And the idea here, again, since it is a trend following indicator, what you're going to find is that this indicator is going to work really well when things trend. And again, it's not going to be great when things get real choppy in kind of a sideways market. But if you apply it to the right type of market, you do your analysis correctly, I think you probably like this indicator quite a bit. Now, what can you do with this indicator? Well, this particular length of the indicator that we set up for this one, I'll go ahead and double click on it again, is that we use 7 periods for the length of it and then 3 for the multiplier here. And so, of course, you can go in and you can manually adjust this as much as you want. But what I've done here to kind of help out as well is I've created a couple different system tests to kind of figure out maybe some of the different levels that you possibly might want to use. So let's go ahead and do that next. But before I do that, what I want to do here is with this chart that we're looking at is I want to save this as a default template. So what happens is that whenever I open up a chart, I want the chart to look exactly like what I'm looking at right now. So to do that, I'm going to right click inside the chart. I'm going to choose Save as Default Template. It'll ask if I want to replace my existing default. I'll say yes. And then what's important is that you got to close down the chart and then go to the File and then choose Delete Smart Charts. And by choosing File, Delete Smart Charts, what that's going to do, it's going to ask if you want to remove all your other ones, and you say yes. Click on OK. That kind of wipes out MetaStock short-term memory. So from this point forward, every chart that we look at from this point forward will all look the same with the same indicator already plotted on there. So next, what I want to do is I want to open up the system tester. So I'll click on the green dollar sign up here at the top. And one of the really nice features that they have in version 18 that I love is that whenever you're looking for a system, is that if you go up here to the search, and in my case, I want to type in LMS, what that'll do is that'll give me just the Learn MetaStock systems that I've actually created in the past. So it really narrows down my list. So I actually really appreciate that, Kelly. Thanks for doing that. So anyway, I'm going to scroll down my list here, and the system that I'm going to look for is that when you install this, you'll find that there's two different systems here. There's a Supertrend system test and then a Supertrend system test with optimization. So let's go ahead and open it up. And the one that I'm going to open up first is the one with optimization. And you'll see underneath the General tab here, you'll see a quick explanation of what this will do. And as a side note too, the formula was actually, I thought was going to be really straightforward, but the formula that I actually am showing today was created by a gentleman by the name of William Golson there at MetaStock. And what I did is I took his formula and I modified it to create the system test, the explorations, the expert advisor, and so forth. So, but anyway, he's the real brains behind this thing. So anyway, for the buy order, the way that this is set up is that you'll see that there, for these two different fields up here, we're going to be optimizing on both the length of the ATR and also the multiplier of it. So I'm going to jump over here to the optimizations tab, and you'll see that this is what we're going to be testing. So for the ATR multiplier, instead of just using, for example, 3, we're going to test all the way from 1 to 10 periods, and we're going to do it in steps of 1. So we're going to test of 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10. And then for the length of the ATR indicator, we're going to test anywhere from 2 to 40 in steps of 2. And then if you look down here, you'll see that we're going to actually run 200 different system tests here. So we're going to run through quite a few here in just a minute. So to get started, I'm going to click on OK. And first of all, we got to make sure we choose the correct system test. So I'll select that. And then up here at the top, I'm going to enter in the symbol of SPY for the S&P ETF. And then over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to tell it to look for long trades using the last 1,250 records, which is approximately about 5 years of time. And we're going to use daily data. And for the trade options here, I'm going to go now. The way that I want to set this up is I want to run what's called a points-only test. So a points-only test is just going to return back a raw number of points that were gained or lost. And then for the broker, you'll see by choosing a points-only test, that'll take out of the equation any type of interest rates or margin requirements. What I've found is that you can test things a lot of different ways, but running just a points-only test is just a real quick way to just get, again, like I say, just a raw number of points. And from there, then I can decide if I want to, try trading a dollar figure or maybe a number of shares and so forth. But I find this just really simple by doing it this way. And then for the commissions, I got this set up for 0. And then lastly, underneath the trade execution here, I'm going to trade everything at the opening price with a 1-period delay. So if I get a buy signal on Wednesday, this is going to simulate that I get into the trade on Thursday at the opening price. If I get an exit on Friday, I'm going to get out at the opening on Monday, for example. And then down here at the bottom, this will allow you to control how many system tests you're going to see, for example, if you run an optimization. So I'm going to bump that up to 200, for example. We'll click on OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and just start the system test. And again, this is going to run through 200 different combinations of this particular system test. And if you look down here in the lower right-hand corner, this will give you an idea how quickly this thing is running through it. Now, if you're newer to MetaStock and you haven't really done a lot of system testing, I think you're in for a real treat here, because the system tester is extremely powerful. You can come up, I mean, whatever type of idea that you can pretty much imagine having to do with technical analysis, you can test. So I find it, it's my go-to tool, to say the least. I use it a lot. And of course, we have a lot of training for you up on the Learn MetaStock website if you want to learn more about it. But I'll click on the view results. And here you can see, for example, out of those 200 tests that we ran, we've got, looks like some pretty good results here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort on this net profit column here, and we'll get the highest one at the top and then the lowest at the bottom. And the way that you read this is telling us that the most profitable result was a little over 130 points. It traded 3 times. It had 2 winners and 1 loser. And the average profit to average loss was 8.05. What that number means is that your average winner was over 8 times the size of your average loser. So that's a huge ratio. Just a real quick note, whenever I'm looking at creating the system test, for example, one thing that I really try to zero in on is the size of the average winner to the size of the average loser. And the idea is that if your average winner is at least, say, 3 times the size of your average loser, statistically, you can go back. You can be wrong a lot more often than you're right and do very well with that trading strategy. But if on the other side of the coin, if you get down to, say, maybe 1-to-1 or even under 1-to-1, that's where you're going to run into problems if you trade a system like that long enough. So just be aware of that. So then over here on the right-hand side, these are what we call the optimization variables that it came up with. So in this case, for optimization number 1, it says that in order to generate this number, 130 points, it used 9 for the multiplier and then 40 for the number of periods of the ATR. So, but as you can see, this is, if we tested this on 5 years and this only generated 3 trades, that's not a lot of trades, right? So, I mean, we could go ahead and take a closer look at this. For example, I'll go ahead and just double click on it, and this will open up our the summary report for this particular system. And you'll see that the profit is 130, the buy and hold is 132. So what this means is that if I would have purchased this and held on to it for 5 years, I would have just made 132 points. Otherwise, if I chose to actually trade this, I would have made 130 points. So a lot of people newer to this would say, well, why would you even want to do that? Why not just buy and hold everything? Well, if you buy and hold everything, what you're doing is you're literally just locking up your money for that entire period of time. In this particular situation, we'll scroll down here, down to the bottom of this for just a minute here. You'll see that this field right here called out of market timing, it says the total was 565. What that means is that you were out of the market 565 bars. So if you tested 1,250 bars, but you were out of the market 560 bars, that means that you were out of the market over 2 years of time. In other words, you generated 130 points in about 3 years of time, versus it took all 5 years to generate 132 points. So that's actually a pretty important note to, or point to kind of bring up when looking at results, and that is how much you actually in the market or how much you out of the market when taking a look at some of these results. Now, again, going down here to the profitable trades, this generated 2 profitable trades. The average profit was 69 points. And then for the unprofitable, you only had 1, and it generated basically a loss of 8.6 points. So again, that's a really high ratio. Your average winner to your average loser is, again, over 8-to-1. But going back to this for just a minute here, that's only 3 trades over 5 years. And in my opinion, that's just not a lot, right? So let's kind of scroll down this list here a little bit. And here's one that's actually pretty close. This one is showing an average profit, average loss of 4.4, basically 4.5. It traded 10 times, right? 10 times in 5 years. Again, not much, but let's go ahead and open that up. And you can see here, this one generated 112. There were 4 profitable trades, 6 losing trades. So this is, again, that point that I was just trying to make, and that is, if your average profit is substantially larger than your average loser, you can have more losing trades than winning trades and still do very well. So again, keep that in mind when you're looking at this information. So we'll scroll down here a little bit. And then again, down here out the out of market timing, again, 491 bars. So you're out of the market again about 2 years of time, meaning that it generated 112 points in about 3 years instead of buying and holding for 5 years to generate 132. Okay. Then the other thing too is you could always look at the equity and see what your equity curve looks like. And we're looking for as smooth of a line as possible and so forth. And then of course you can always plot it on the chart. And that's one of the real keys, is that you want to make sure and plot that correctly. But let's go back here for just the summary for just a minute. And I want to scroll down here. And if you look at the very bottom, this will tell you what the actual settings were for the ATR. So in other words, the multiplier should be set at 5 and the length of it should be set to 28 in order to generate these particular numbers. So let's go ahead and go back to the chart here. This is our equity curve at the top. So I'll go ahead and close that down. And then to make everything kind of match up, I'm going to kind of zoom in here just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this indicator itself. Let's go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to change the multiplier, or the number of periods, first to 28, and then the multiplier to 5. Click on OK. And now what we should have here is this should match up with the actual signals. So here's what we're looking for here whenever we see a signal. So for example, you'll see the indicator is actually above the prices during this period of time. But the second that the prices close above it, 1 bar after that point is the entry. So in this case, for example, this is the entry bar, and then the entry, or the actual entry into the system, according to the system tester, is on this bar. So in this case, it's saying that position number 10 traded 1 unit or 1 share at 422.99. And if we hover directly over the price bar, you'll see the opening is 422.99. So that's exactly what we want to see at this point. We just want to make sure everything's correct, right? So then if we go down here and you see that the prices went up for a little bit, then they traded off. And once they went underneath this lower band, then of course, then your stop was triggered. And then 1 bar later, you exited out at the opening. So that's exactly what we're looking for, just to make sure that this thing is working the way that we think it should be working. So let me kind of zoom out here a little bit, but that'll give you an idea how to look at these actual trades here too. And here you can see it's pretty apparent that when this thing is set up correctly and so forth, and has, you know, everything is working the way that you want it, you can see that when this thing is trending, that of course is where this indicator is really going to shine for you. Okay, so this area right here, you can see we had quite the sell-off here. This was what, in October 2020 there. And if a lot of people, this is where you really need kind of a trading plan in place. Because for example, this area right here where the prices are, you get a long signal if you get in, depending on your trading strategy or your rules that you're following and so forth, unless you've got a really clear set of rules, I can pretty much guarantee most people would have bailed on this trade at some point during here. But again, in this particular situation, if you'd done your work beforehand and you're going to stick with it until you actually get stopped out, you'd have been very well rewarded there, to say the least, right? Okay, so now once I actually see that, then the next thing that I probably want to do here is I want to test it on a group of securities. So to test it on a group of securities, we're going to go back into the system tester here. And I created another system test, which is just called the Supertrend system test. And this is the one that you can go and you can modify and you can put in whatever parameters that you want. Now, one thing I always recommend is that whenever you have a list of systems and you want to make a change to it, I highly recommend that you make a copy of it and make your changes to the copied version, so you always have the original to fall back on. So to make a copy of a system, just right-click directly on it, choose copy, and as you can see now I've got this one here that says Supertrend System Test Copy. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to go to the buy order here. And here, under these first 2 fields are the 2 fields that you can modify easily. So the first one is your multiplier. So we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and just use the numbers that we came up with in that system test there a minute ago. And I'm just going to use 5 and 28. So 5 for the multiplier, 28 for the length. And then if you use that as a buy signal, you probably want to go to the sell signal and do the same thing. So I'll go ahead and change the multiplier to 5, and then I'll change the length of it to 28. And now this is basically going to use that parameter for the system test there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make sure and choose the copy version to run the system test. And now this case, let's go ahead and run it, for example, like on the NASDAQ 100. I'm going to keep all my settings the same over here on the right-hand side. I'll just go ahead and click on my system test there. And this, again, like I say, this is going to start the process of going through all 100 securities of the NASDAQ 100, and we'll take a look at those results. Quick note, this is a question that I get quite a bit. For example, why does the NASDAQ 100 have 102 securities in it? And the answer is that some securities have more than one class of security. For example, like Google has a class A and a class C, for example. So anyway, but we'll go to view results. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, so now looking at these results, you can see just taking the numbers that we used from the previous test and then just applying it to all 100 NASDAQ stocks, for example. It looks like the majority of them actually tested profitably. It looks like about a third of them or so did not test profitably. And then we have this one huge loser over here on the right-hand side, which obviously is kind of messing with the scale here a little bit. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the ones that did a little bit better here. So the first one here, we've got this Charter Communications here. It generated 363 points. It had 5 trades, 3 winners, 2 losers. The average profit was 4.77. So that actually sounds like some pretty good numbers. 5 is not, again, not a lot of trades in 5 years, but let's take a closer look at it. I'll double click on it. So for this particular, using those settings on this company here, you'll see again that the buy and hold was 363 and the the profit was 363 and the buy and hold was 32 points. So this one absolutely crushed the buy and hold, which is pretty interesting. And if we go down here and we take a look at the actual trades, there were 3 winners and 2 losers. The average profit was 140 and the average loss was 29. So again, really nice ratio. If we scroll down here a little bit further, again, you're out of the market 540 bars. So again, you're generating these types of numbers in about 3 years versus buying and holding and getting 32 points over 5 years. So again, pretty big difference there, to say the least. So let's go back here, take a look at another one here. Here's Netflix underneath here. And you'll see that this one traded 7 times during that period, 6 winners, 1 loser, which sounds good. But look at the average winner to average loser. It was 0.9. That means that for every dollar that, well, let me say it again. For every point that you lost on a losing trade, you only made 90 cents on a winning trade. So that's type of system, again, like I say, if you trade it long enough, probably going to break the account. So, and then the next one down is this IDEX. This one generated 4.66. So again, pretty good. 7 total trades. We'll open that one up. This one generated 316 points versus 228. 7 total trades, 3 winners, 4 losers. Again, more losers than winners, but your average profit was 147. The average loss was 31. And again, you're out of the market almost 2 years of time in this one. So again, you generated this number in about 3 years as opposed to 5 years. So again, that's actually, that kind of stuff I think is actually pretty interesting. Now, again, if you ever want to take a closer look at it, any of them, just go ahead and click on the plot on chart. Close these down, and then what you want to do, this is our equity curve up here, so I'm going to go ahead and close that down. And then what you want to do is you want to double click directly on the indicator itself. If I can select it, let me kind of zoom in here a little bit there. If I can. Let me try to, there we go. Go ahead and grab the indicator there. I'll double click on it. There we go. And then I'll just change those parameters to whatever it is that I looked at. So in that case, it was 28 for the ATR and then 5 for the multiplier. Go ahead and now as you'll see here is that this will match up with the actual system test that you ran there too. Okay. So again, this one obviously trended beautifully. I mean, you had this huge move here, got you out pretty much at the top. And again, like I say, you've been in a pretty big fall right there. And again, just over here, it looks like it's just breaking out right now, which is kind of interesting there as well. Okay, so let's go back to that system test results here again. And the way that you go back to a report, by the way, is that if you go back into the system tester, anything that has an R at the very end means that there's a report available for it. So you can right click on it and then click on report, and that'll bring you right back to this where you can choose the report you want to open and just click on view, and you'll be right back to where you were. Now, this time, let's go ahead and click on this net profit, look at booking holdings, for example. So booking holdings, here's the other side of the coin, right? All these other securities, the NASDAQ 100, actually, majority of them did fairly well here. But booking holdings, for whatever reason, this system just did not fit the personality of booking holdings. And in fact, you had a huge loss here. So let's just go ahead and plot this on, here on a chart and take a look at this thing. You can see the equity curve up here at the top. And let's see if we can take a look at some of these trades here. We'll go ahead and open this up, and we'll set this, the number of periods of the ATR to 5. Oh, I'm sorry, to 28. And then the ATR to 5. And again, click on OK. All right. So what I kind of see here with booking holdings is that booking holdings looks very, very volatile to me, right? I mean, it is up and down a lot. And this is kind of the problem whenever you try to use, for example, like a trending type of indicator on something that's extremely volatile, that gaps up, gaps down, and just is all over the place. So the question is, well, if you had a company like this, if you had booking holdings in your portfolio, for example, and you wanted to figure out how to trade this, and you like this indicator, what else could you do? Well, a couple ideas here for you. Number one, you can always go and run, other system tests on the settings for this particular indicator and see if you could come up with maybe some settings that could work a little bit better there for you. And another thing that a lot of people kind of tend to overlook is that in the system tester is that you've got this area right here, which is called the stops tab. And the stops tab, you'll see that you've got a section called break even, max loss, profit, inactivity, minimum change in a trailing stop. And all of these actually require a fair amount of explanation. So we do have more training just on this particular page. But this is another area that you can look at as well. And you could say, well, gosh, what would have happened if I would have put in some type of maybe a profit target or maybe a time stop or something like that? Well, this is the page that you'd want to take a look at. And in addition to that, we've also created a lot of trailing stops that you can download directly into your MetaStock program that are separate formulas. And some of the trailing stops that we've created, for example, are based off the ATR. We've created some just basically on fixed percentages and so forth. So again, if you want to take this a little bit further and look for different ways to test these things, we have a lot of different ways that we can help you there. Okay. All right. Now, another thing that I found here, let's go ahead and I'm going to close down booking holdings here. And let me jump back over here to the SPY, for example. And what I'm going to do here, let's go back. I'm just going to set this back to our original settings here of 7 and 3 and click on OK. And let's kind of zoom in here a little bit just so we can see this little section right here. Okay. So for example, like in this section right here, you'll see again, this trended really nicely, of course, right? And depending on the settings that you were using, you could possibly have placed a number of different trades during this section here. And one of the things that I came across in the training when I was in preparation for this particular class is I saw that a lot of people are a popular way to use this particular indicator is use it in conjunction with other indicators as well. And one of the indicators that I kept seeing over and over again was combining this with a moving average. So to give you an idea what you could possibly do there, let's grab a moving average here and we'll plot it here on our chart. And the moving average that I saw a lot of was a 200 period exponential moving average. So I'm going to make that 200, make it exponential, and I'm going to go to the color style and change that to maybe like a yellow. And let's make it a little bit heavier and click on OK. Okay. So now what we're looking at here, again, is a 200 period exponential moving average. And the idea is that maybe use this indicator in conjunction with a moving average, meaning that if the prices are trending and the prices are above the moving average, look for long positions. And if the prices are below the moving average, then we'll only look for short positions, right? So How would you test something like that? Well, let's go back into our system tester here. And the way that I'd recommend that you do it with the formulas that I created here for you is go into the copied version and go to the buy order here. And what you want to pay attention to is this last line right here. This line right here, this is the trigger to go long based off of this information up here, okay? So let's say, for example, that we want to add a moving average to this particular situation. How would we do this? Well, this, again, like I say, this line right here is going to basically enter long when this formula is true. So what I want to do is I want to say when this is true and when the closing price is above its moving average, that's when I want to go long, okay? So what I'll do is I'll say and then say, for example, the close is greater than its moving average. And the way that you type that is MOV, open parenthesis, and then, for example, close, followed by the number of periods you want to use, and then followed by the type of moving average that you want to use. And then close the whole thing off with a parenthesis. So in this case, for example, let's go ahead and I'm going to change these parameters back to 7 and 3 again. I'm going to go ahead and make that back to 7 or 3 and make that one 7. And then I'm going to go to the sell order here and I'm going to do that as well. So I'm going to change the multiplier to 3 and again, make the length of it 7. Okay, because that's what this indicator is basically showing here in the background. Okay, so again, just real quick, what this is going to do is it's only going to go long if this first item is true, meaning that the closing price crosses up above this line and the closing price is above its 200 period moving average. So click on OK. And then if you want to run that particular test, just go ahead and select the system and then choose the security you want to test it on. And I'm going to test it on the SPY. And we'll go ahead and click on our Start System Test and click on View Results. And then this will basically, if you click on the plot on chart and then close this down, we'll go ahead and close this down. Then basically what happens now is that what you can do is that this is the way that you can actually combine, for example, like different indicators with the actual strategy. So let me go ahead and modify our indicator and change that back to 3 and, oh, I'm sorry, change that to 7 and then that one again to 3, okay? And so what happens here now is that the only time you get, for example, like a buy signal is when the prices are above that moving average. And let's go ahead and plot that moving average here again, just so we can see that. And we'll make that a 200 period exponential. And we go ahead and fatten up that line there a little bit so we can see that and click on OK. Okay, so again, what's going to happen, you're only going to get long positions during an upward trend. And then, for example, like in a downward trend like this, if the prices, for example, if the prices are below that, above that moving average, for example, then of course, you're not going to get any long positions there. So that's one thing that I actually saw a lot of the demonstrations using this particular indicator with the moving average. But as you might imagine, you can use whatever length moving average that you want. You can use multiple moving averages. You can use other indicators. I mean, take your pick, to say the least. It just goes on and on with what you can do with this thing. But that's actually what I liked about this, is because, again, it's super customizable there for you. Now, another thing that a couple other things that I created here is also create an exploration. And with this exploration, let's go to the search here, and I'm just going to type in LMS. And this Supertrend exploration right here, what this will do is real simple. All it'll really do is give you a 1 underneath column C if there's a buy signal, and it'll give you a 1 underneath column D if there's a sell signal, okay? And what I've got here for the filter saying, when I run this exploration, only give me signals, or only give me securities that are giving me a signal right now, okay? So to run that, we'll click on OK. And I ran this one early on the NASDAQ 100. I didn't get any hits, so I'm going to go ahead and run it on the S&P 500 instead, and that'll give us more data. I'm going to tell it to run over the last 1,250 records using the current date, using the filter, and then we'll go ahead and just click on our Start Exploration. So again, this one's going to run through 500 securities, so hopefully actually we are getting some hits already. You can see right up here, this is telling us how many securities it's running through and then how many have been rejected. And if that's anything less than 100, you know that some securities have already been triggered there. So again, it's a pretty straightforward one. Now this one is only going to find the securities, for example, that are trading either above or below, for example, that 7-3 settings. But if you want to modify it, for example, like if you want to use 5 and 28, you can go in and you can modify it and set that, again, like I say, to whatever you want. But in this case, for example, here's a buy signal here on oops, we'll sort on the buy signals. There's a Biomed, there's Domino's Pizza, there's, what is this, Ulta Beauty. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and open some of these up here. But then what you want to do is after running the scan, you just want to make sure that your indicator has the same parameters that you ran in the exploration. And just to double check that, let's go back to the exploration here for just 1 second. I kind of skipped over that step. And that is, if you want to change, for example, if you come up with another set of parameters like 5 and 28, go underneath the buy column here and then change the multiplier and the length to, again, to whatever numbers that you want. And then same thing for the sell signal, modify those to whatever whatever you want to use, and then run your exploration. But this particular exploration, we're running on 7-3. And again, like I say, this security right here is giving us a signal right here because it closed above that upper line. So we'll go ahead and close that one down. There's Domino's Pizza that just gave us a buy signal and so forth. And in addition to this, I also created an expert advisor that's helpful. And that you can attach to your chart by just clicking on the attach button. Just find the LMS Supertrend Expert, click on attach, click on close, and that'll plot the buy and sell signals there on your chart as well. And same thing with the expert advisor, you can go in and you can modify those parameters to adjust them to however you'd like it as well. Okay. All right. I hope that's helpful. I know that that's a lot of information, and but if there's any questions or anything else that I can do to help you too, I mean, don't hesitate to let me know. Just send me a message in the chat window, and I'll be happy to help you if I can. All right. So with that being said, let me tell you a little bit about what our service is at Learn MetaStock. What we do at Learn MetaStock is we only help people with their MetaStock program in whatever shape, whatever it is that you want to get out of your program. And the way that we do that is we do that in a number of different ways. Number one, we do up to 3 live classes per week. And in addition to that, we also have what's called a video library where we house all of our recordings. If you can't make our live classes, we actually make a recording of our live classes and then put them up on the website every week. And then if you scroll down, these are the different categories and so forth that you'll find help on. So for example, I'll kind of scroll down here a little bit. If you're brand new to technical analysis, you probably want to just get started with like the intro to technical analysis. And the way that you do it is once you sign in, just click on the Watch Now button. That'll open up a link to the window, of course. And then over here on the right-hand side, if we create anything for you, any type of formulas or any other types of downloads, they'll all be located over here on the right-hand side underneath this resources button. And with a lot of the videos too, we also actually attach quizzes for you as well. And these quizzes, of course, just help, reinforce what we taught you during that video. So again, it can be a really good learning tool there, to say the least there. So let me go ahead and go back. And I'll just show you just some of the different sections of types of videos that we have. But one area that I recommend everyone get started with, no matter what your level of experience is with MetaStock, is getting started right here, this getting started section. And that is watch these first 4 videos here, the part 1, part 2, the next step, and then the advanced. And once you do that, you're gonna have a really good understanding of a lot of the basics. And from there, then you can jump around to wherever you want. So for example, we'll scroll down here a little bit. We have videos on the forecaster, the expert advisor, option scope, system testing. As you can see, we've got a lot on system testing. The Explorer is probably one of my favorite tools inside the program. And as you can see, we've got a number of different types of exploration classes available. And for those of you who want to learn more about possibly even writing formulas and really diving into it, you can see that we've got a number of formula writing videos. The RMO, an extremely popular item inside of MetaStock. We've got a number of different ways we can help you there. And one thing that we've created here, we created some templates that will go along with your RMO charts. And then we also show you how to test the RMO. And that's actually really interesting if you're a fan of the RMO. I think you'll like that quite a bit. We've got a number of different videos just on stops, indicators, and if I scroll down here a little bit, this is the area that we did today. Today we did what's called the Supertrend class, but underneath that you can see the other classes that we have as well. And again, when you click on the Watch Now button, you'll see that any of the formulas that we create will be associated with that video over here on the right-hand side. So if you just want to download all those formulas directly to your MetaStock program, just click on that button and that'll install it directly for you. And that's going to save you a massive amount of work, to say the least. But we've got a lot of different trading strategies available here for you, a lot of formulas. We do a number of different product reviews. And this is just our personal training on the add-ons themselves. And a lot of the add-ons already have, good training on them and so forth. So what I do is I just kind of take it from my own perspective. And this is, what I use, how I used it. This is how I got up to speed with it. This is what to watch out for and so forth. But I think some of those could be pretty helpful for you. And in addition to that, we have a number of videos just on Zenith. And also we have a number of different interviews available there for you too. And this is an interesting area where we take some of the different people that are using MetaStock and trading, and they've shared some of their different ideas and their trading strategies and so forth that can be beneficial as well. All right. So that's what I've got here for you today. I hope that that's helpful. Kelly, are you still there?
Riveted. Yeah, I'm still here.
Perfect. I didn't put you to sleep, I hope.
No, that was great.
Okay.
I've been looking at questions. We did have a couple of questions, but you were smart enough to answer them as we went. So I don't have any specific questions about the presentation.
No, that's fine. Well, the other thing too is, if anybody who has any questions or need anything, just drop me an email or give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help you that way as well.
Yeah. Of course. Let me go ahead and take over the presentation here for just a moment, if that's okay.
All right.
I'd like to just show everybody some more information about your classes and what we offer. But that was actually, I do have a question over on YouTube for you. Of all the systems you've seen and tested, if you had to choose just one to operate with, which one would be your most reliable in your opinion?
Wow, that's a great question. And I do get that question quite a bit. It's a loaded question too, as well, because there's so many different types of strategies. It depends on, of course, how often you want to trade, your risk tolerance, your experience with trading. There's a lot of variables that come into play and that are extremely important before you ever decide to start trading. But one of my go-tos that I actually like quite a bit is the RMO. It's a super simple system. It's already built into your MetaStock program. There's a RMO ATM that you can purchase, for additional information, but it's super solid. It's a trend following type of signal, but it can be used in any time frame. And again, I think it gives really solid signals, and I wouldn't hesitate to point somebody in that direction.
I agree with that. The RMO is a great system. Chuck over on GoToWebinar is saying Kevin's presentation on Go No Go charts is excellent, and so is the Go No Go add-on. So great feedback on some of the services there as well.
Good.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and talk a little bit more about learnmetastock.com. I mean, Kevin gave you a great overview. Just to give you a few more details. Again, so he offers 3 live training classes per week. And if you can't make those, they're all recorded. There's hundreds of instructional videos that are available on his site. So 21 basic MetaStock videos, 4 expert advisor videos, 3 system tester videos, videos on stops, and much, much more. And through what Kevin took you through today with the Supertrend Indicator, there's a lot of things that you can get just as as add-on values from the programs that he's developed and coded to go along with the classes. So there's 21 different complete systems, including 9 different templates, 62 indicators, 14 expert advisors, 28 system tests, and 13 explorations. So there is a lot that you get with Learn MetaStock. And I'll say that when somebody starts here at MetaStock, the first thing that we do is we send them to learnmetastock.com to go ahead and dive into Kevin's videos, because he does such a great job of teaching and instructing on how to use MetaStock. And I think you saw that today in today's class. While Kevin was talking about the Supertrend Indicator, he would also stop and talk about all the little points of things that he was talking about and what specifically they meant as he was going through them. So you're not only learning about one thing, you're actually getting a broader base with every different little video, which is fantastic. And so learnmetastock.com is actually a great value as well. It's only $99 per month, which is an awesome value for all the videos that you get, all the different add-ons, all the different indicators, everything that Kevin has put together for you. But if you're new to learnmetastock.com, we actually have a new customer special. So you can actually go up and sign up for 3 months for the price of one. So you pay $99 and you get 90 days of learnmetastock.com. So to take advantage of that, you just go to metastock.com/learnmetastock 3-for-1. You can call us at 800-882-3040, or you can go to metastock.com/sales chat. And really, I can't emphasize enough, MetaStock is a great program. It's very intuitive. There's a lot that you can do to it. And what I find as working here at MetaStock is we find that a lot of people get kind of focused in on about 10 to 15% of what MetaStock can do and kind of live their world there. But there's so much more that MetaStock can give you. And you're using these tools like learnmetastock.com can help you get so much more out of MetaStock and what you're really able to see and do with MetaStock. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this offer. As you've seen, Kevin is a fantastic presenter and a fantastic instructor. So go ahead and take this opportunity. Visit us at metastock.com/learnmetastock 3-for-1 to take advantage of that offer. Call us at 800-882-3040 or go to metastock.com/sales chat. And just a couple of comments here. It looks like, again, great job, Kevin. Thank you to Kevin and MetaStock. Great presentation. So Kevin, again, thank you very much for today's presentation. I loved it. And any last words from you, Kevin?
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Kevin. Thanks for everybody for being here. And go ahead and take advantage of learnmetastock.com's awesome training. Bye, everyone. Hi, Kelly Clement here from MetaStock. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you found it instructive and informative. If you did, what I'd like to invite you to do is go ahead and like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal, and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. So go ahead and like and subscribe, and keep on watching.